This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by AuthorU and the Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, good morning, everyone. At least it's morning to me as I do this show and lay it out and get it recorded for you. And as always, on the AuthorU-Your guide to book publishing, I'm going to kind of give you some insights, some ahas, tips, how-tos. So you as an author, you as maybe a publisher yourself, but certainly you as an orchestrator of your marketing plan will have some success. So that's what this is about today. But this is kind of like also a regroup. So that I think that this is something that I was thinking about as last year came to an end, that I needed to do. Number one, I wanted to come up for my theme for this year. And really what I need to do and what I did in the process. So I'm going to walk you through some of these things because I think it'll make a humongous difference in your success. But let me start with what my theme was. My theme for 2022 is the power of re. Now you're thinking, what the heck is that? Okay, so as I went into what I call my simmering, my noodling process, and I'm going to tell you the process I went through because you can use it too. It's very fast. It's efficient. There's going to be two components of it. I want you to reimagine what you want to do going forward. So I was really thinking what I wanted to do going forward for the Book Shepherd. And for me personally, for supporting the Book Shepherd, for growing the Book Shepherd, for supporting me, certainly for bringing balance. I'm someone who works a lot of hours, dedicate a lot of time working with my clients in what I call collaborative coaching. And that I have another book that I'm working on. I've already written several chapters called The Author's Walk on my writing calendar. And the subtitle for that is Finding and Using Your Voice to Create Publishing Success. And that in the power of it's rediscovering and refinding who I am and what I am and what I've been writing and publishing over these many years. So for me, it started with reimagine. Should I be doing a makeover of my existing publishing related books? I have one on crowdfunding. I have one on building platforms. I have one on creating a speech on your expertise in book. I have one on blunders and boo-boos and screw-ups that I want you to avoid. I've got one on a lot of my favorite quotes that in Snappy, Sassy, Salty. Should I do a redo? Maybe a rewrite. Maybe revamp them and how they visually look, how they feel. What about resizing? Should I change them? They've all been in a 5x7 format. The Snappy, Sassy, Salty was in a much smaller format, a 4x6. It's an intimate book, and it's always been one of my personal faves. Should I rethink this whole thing? Should I republish them all? So, one of my favorite words is repurposing. I've always believed that it is nutso for people to always feel that they have to find brand new, never been written before, total originality, blogging, or they're even on writing. No, you can only do something so many ways, really. repurposing. I think was it Shakespeare said there's only 22 plots in the world. Okay, but look at all the gazillions of storybooks out there. Truly, look at all the gazillions of storybooks out there. So, in my rethink, I am putting this all together. Should I not? I diddled. I went back and forth, back and forth. Oh my God, Judith, it's going to take so much time to do this. It encompasses, I needed, number one of my editors to go through and read stuff because I was going to have them twice involved. And I personally had to go through every page. And I know every author, when you have written a book, you think, if I have to read this thing one more time, I am going to scream. This involved a sit back, redo, and think, should I rewrite? Should this be rewritten? Should I withdraw something? Is it irrelevant now? Has it totally been, regutted? And are we revamping it and taking it into another direction? So I sat down and I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And so my decision became, yes, I will do the redo, rewrite where necessary. I did want to change the size for a couple of reasons, dealing with especially when some of the books, as we were quasi-retiring them, or I wasn't going to be actively, printing thousands of copies at a crack, that I would let people pull them from the POD world, and I would still have my personal inventory that I would use for speaking gigs and the like. Plus, I could enhance the cover design, which I've certainly done on my book, When God Says No, which I did a rewrite last year. So how was I going to go about doing this? So that was the process. So first of all, I had to go back to my designer and said, I've got an idea. What do you think? And we started brainstorming in this redo together. So we were on the same picture. All right, then I started going through and doing the rewrites, but realizing one of the books, which was my How to Avoid 100 Book Publishing Blunders, Bloopers, and Boo-Boos, was going to get a massive rewrite, like a whole new book. And also, the other part of the was, do I retitle any of these? And the answer was, yep, some of them were going to be retitled. So with that said, I started in. And what I did was I had someone do a reread and go through all of them from an editing side to, okay, so what's out of sorts? What doesn't make sense? What could be missing a word? There's a missing word somewhere in your books. There's typos still, even though they've been through it a zillion times. All right, so that was the purpose. Then the books came to me, and I started go through the one page to reread. And of course, when these books were written, published, let's say 5 years ago, maybe my thinking's changed, and it has. Maybe my adds to it need to be added that I didn't have at that time. Maybe I say things differently than I did 5 years ago. So that was part of the process. But what we all came away with, these are bloody good books. So that was good. So that means, yes, let's redo them. Don't let them die. Don't let them languish. Let them go forward. As really something that's important to have in the process as we have them, and we're all in sync with each other. So that's where we started. How did we do that process? Now, this was for my publishing. So let me just say this, and that the books, by the time we were done, some had new titles. Everybody got a new cover. Everybody. Now, we used our branding. This is when you go back to, we just did this year, and launched it in 2022. The Book Shepherd website was totally redone. And although we used my initial colors, which is always going to be, a plummy purple and a kind of light apple green and stuff, other colors were introduced. But there was a total gutting, a revamping, a changeover in those things. All right, that was going to domino into the books as well. Let's bring them all together. I wasn't going to change the interior illustrations or any of that unless we needed to match, certainly, with the way the new book cover was going to be. But we were the sheepy guys, which we call a lot of the illustrations that were done by the amazing Don Seidel. Those are fun. They're fun. Listen, you need to have fun in this publishing process. They still have a good time throughout. But the covers went much more contemporary. So that book, How to Avoid 101 Book Publishing Blunders, Bloopers, and Boo-Boos, was retitled to How to Avoid Book Publishing Blunders. Bop. Now, did I bring a subtitle in? Nope, I didn't, because I'm very good at writing back cover copy. I will write the back cover that will bring in all the mistakes in that. Now, this is a book that had lots of reviews up on Amazon, and I'm going to tell you what you do when you do this kind of thing. It has been an international Amazon bestseller. It's done extraordinarily well. But guess what? We're going to take this out, and we will do a relaunch with the new one and push it and start getting the buzz, because that's how do you do the rebuzz? Ooh, that's a good thing to know about. So we'll come to that, but this has now been a little shorter title, much more different. And I always loved the cover for my book, Snappy, Sassy, Salty, Wise Words for Authors and Writers. And we took that cover and then modified it. And every book got that cover, but a different variation of colors that came with it. And with that, we're going to take our first break. I'll be right back with you. It's AuthorU, your guide to book publishing, and I'm Judith Briles with your new year.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Is there a book in you? Or another? AuthorU shows you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you will find a supportive and brainstorming community that is connected and creative, no matter where you live. AuthorU brings in national experts for its book camps and annual AuthorU extravaganza. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through AuthorU's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. AuthorU is the premier authoring resource in the country, creating community, education, guidance, vision, and success for the serious author. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, AuthorU is for you. Timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted on its social media platforms, and it is free. Discover AuthorU, where authors go to become seriously successful. Join AuthorU today at AuthorU.org.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Alrighty, so it's the year of the re. And I hope that you're thinking about, okay, so what could I redo? What could I redo with what I've already got? And this is what the re is about. This is how you expand your publishing empire, your writing empire, your skill set empire, your tools empire. That really freshens you up. Actually, it does this. It freshens you up. It makes you feel better in a lot of things, and it kind of gives you a kind of a goose to as you move forward. As and I was saying, how do you start the rebuzz again? How do you get going and help you be purposeful and committed in this thing? So I've gone through all my books. Each one is being redone. I had a blog just recently on the whole, it's literally called The Power of Re, and you can go to the bookshepherd.com website, do a search for the, it's like Author Smarts. Yeah, it's Author Smarts, The Power of Re. So you could bring up the Author Smarts and see what comes up, but I would encourage you to read through it because you do see the before and after. I show you, here's all the books before, and here's what this baby is gonna look forward. And as soon as each revised, here we're back to the revised version is posted on Amazon, here's what I will be doing. I will be doing the happy dance and going through the process on Amazon's Author Central. And I will do all I can in my power to get them to, because we will be taking down these old books in the best we can. We, as a publisher, and I'm on the old advantage side, that I can take them down and say they're no longer available because this is what you've got to go for, and get the Author Central good folks to transfer over the reviews that are up on the old books and to bring them over to the new ones. And so that you don't have to start from scratch again, which is certainly what you want to be done. So my game plan, when I said, okay, this is my commitment, and it was really in December, late November, December, I said, okay, I'm doing this. I'm going to do this. We first started working on the cover design, all the new covers, until that's it. That's the magic one. And I made a commitment to have it done, all books, going through them within 2 months, as in by the end of January. So they were already, the layout designer has these to do all over again. And we can start a campaign really as winter marches along. Remember, winter is over in March, technically. But this is the thing, spring forward, that these would be all launches that I would be doing as this year unfolds. So it's the Power of Re. It's my 22 theme. And my question would be, how about you? Do you have a theme? What is it? Is it the right theme? Does it fit? Maybe you need to share it. And are you sharing it with others? Are you letting people know? Now, could you write a blog around it to let people know? And there's just a lot the lot you can do. This is the power of repurposing, that you don't have to recreate everything from scratch. And this is where we authors always seem to get in trouble. It's always got to be new, and it could be, it just needs a new coat. It just needs a new version. And one of the things that I would suggest to all of you when you're thinking about doing this, especially with an already published book, I want you to look at the front matter of your book. Do you have an introduction? Do you have a preface? And my question is, why do you have that? Why are you calling them that? Do you realize that most people don't read those? They skip over them. And yet, for nonfiction books, this is not fiction. This is not prologue. But for nonfiction books, it's very common, and they often have a lot of really good information, important information that sets up this book, the why and how. So here I'm going to say, in your I want you to change the title to your introduction and or preface, maybe collapse it together. First of all, you need to relook at that in this redo. And you need to look at it and think, is this a standalone chapter? If it's a standalone chapter, truly, why isn't it chapter 1? So that would be the first thing I'd be assessing. Second thing is, I love what's called an author's note. I love the author's note, which often could be the intro or the preface. Okay. And that's from you to that one reader who has your book in your hands. Of course, you want a gazillion. I get that. But you're just really talking to one person at a time. Just you hope to do it mega times. And this is from you. This is your heartfelt. This is your purpose comes out. This may be something about what's behind that brings you to sharing this information and that kind of thing. It's from you to your reader, an author note. And then I love to just sign it with your first name. Have your designer use, one of the gazillion fonts out there that have a handwriting type. Or what about just having a JPEG of your first name in your cursive? Or if you print, I guess you print. But something that way that it just goes in your book. It's much more personal. And it also will do some setting apart of where you're at. Also, if you've got an old book and you have something called the table of contents, let's get that changed and change it just to contents. The table of contents is kind of passé. It's been that way for a few years. Let's bring it in and make it modern. And then lastly, here's another thing I'd like to see, make sure that you have for your book. And it used to be, I'd always say this is for fiction. You know what? This is kind of tying in for nonfiction too. So you could come in the back end of your book and come in with a how to, discussion questions for organizations, for book groups. Maybe you call it book groups, book clubs and book groups, because in a lot of organizations, I live in a community where there is, a master book group. They discuss various books. Why not bring it into play there? And make something available. And you're also going to put on here that you're available to lead the discussion group. You'd be glad to do that. How cool is that? Now, you also want to have a page, certainly about you. It has your website on it, how to contact you, and you want to have a page involved in how to work with you. So you're available for online and in-person presentations. And that you can give some ideas of some key speaking topics, that you have that are well known. Those are all things to consider and add in. For my fiction authors, I want to make sure that you add in, and you can do this for nonfiction too. If you've got a series going on, like I have a couple of my clients are working on in business series, they've got them in there. They add a chapter in of their next book to let the reader know, hey, there's more. Wait, there's more. And you can pick it up this way. So those are a couple of things that I'm going to suggest to you in this rethink process as you go along. So that's one idea. I'm excited about it. I'm glad I did it. Is it work? Yeah, it is. But there's a lot of things. And one of the things I'll do when I do my Amazon campaigns, and as a class I teach like every other month during the year to a select small group of people on a Wednesday during the month, that what I would be doing is going forward with that when I achieve again for the new revised book, I will come back and add on to, and there's plenty of room on the new covers, I will come on and add in the number one. You could do just regular bestseller, or you could do international bestseller. And one of the things that we found with our methodology of showing people how to do the Amazon campaigns that are so successful, that they not only achieve number one in the U.S., but we hit maybe 2 or 3 other countries too. So it's kind of exciting to claim that you're an international bestseller. So again, what you do is when it happens, you will go in and upload it on your ebook covers very quickly, that then will domino, and then it will carry into your details page. And I will tell you, those seals do grab buyers. Now, the other thing is, I want to say, if that you've already had, bestseller status, certainly you should make sure that you say that on your back cover copy. Would I put it all over the front? I know I'm one of these people that I've, certainly my books have accumulated 45 book awards over the years when I started entering book award contest. But I don't put the seals on the front page because, on the cover, because, I spend a lot of time and money in creating these covers, and I want them to pop and stand out. So I will put the bestseller seal on it. But if I had other seals, which I could put on the back covers, then I can make it like a string of just symbols of bestsellers that shows all of those, which I have done for these revised editions of all of them, because they've all won multiple book awards. So that's my thoughts on that. The power of the power of creating a theme. What are they? Now, the other thing is, I think it's very important to really look at, and since we're talking about this whole thing of going forward and where you're after, is what are you doing about your own development as an author? Have you thought about that? Have you kind of done a game plan? I'm a big person in doing visual game plans, whether you do them. I'm going to give you an exercise that when we come back, you're just going to do it with a piece of paper. I love starting with a piece of paper and a pencil. I wouldn't use a pen. I'd get a pencil out. And that, in fact, one of my favorite is I pick up and I look at it. I'm talking to you. My favorite pencil is the Blackwing. It's such a cool, smooth, feel-good pencil that I buy them by the box. I share them with clients and friends because they're just a cool pencil that makes my writing easier. And I'm a big believer in using by hand at times. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to start you on this process of developing not just a theme for you, but really your success for this year. We'll be right back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Discover the power of you and your book at the Judith Briles Unplugged events. Each summer, Judith Briles Book Marketing Unplugged unfolds over 3 intensive days working with just Judith. You get publishing strategies, author and book platforms, book marketing panache and pizzazz, and authoring tools to take you and your book to rock star success. In the fall and winter, Judith Briles Speaking Unplugged includes Judith as your coach and mentor during 2 powerful days. You will learn how to structure a speech, how to create openings and closings, how to find gigs that pay you and sell your books, and you will get one-on-one coaching. Go to thebookshepherd.com and click on the Events tab to learn how to participate at the next Unplugged Workshop event.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so we are talking about your theme, why you should have a theme going forward. This is part of your planning. So this is really, we're talking about kind of planning For the rest of the year, I've kissed on a few of these in previous podcasts to set the stage. So let's continue with that area. So this is something that I do every year. I've done it for years and years and years. I really dug down, and it started with the power of re, and going through. And it also was tied in with the absolutely gutting of my the Book Shepherd website that has taken almost a year to really get it done and put together, but it's finally landed in this. So with this, as we move along, that we've got this all together. And that with the branding, and the branding is one of my areas that it's very important. But this is I'm just going to share some of the things that I did for me personally. You could have at the top, but what I want you to do is I just do this with a standard old blank white sheet of paper. It could be a yellow pad, but I want you to do landscape. I'm not after the lines because the lines aren't necessary. It's irrelevant. But at the very tippy top, you just want to put what it is that you're doing. Is it this your author's name? Is it, game plan for, Susan Rodriguez? What is it? And for me, it was the Book Shepherd online development, that what we wanted to do to continue to expand in. Underneath that, whatever you come up with, your title, that underneath that, I want you to start thinking, okay, what are subsections? What are the components that come together with this? All right, so I've already mentioned website. Website was big, so that's going to be one of my column heads. And website. So what was it that I needed to do on the website? I needed to have a new opt-in. And I created this one quite a while ago because I was hoping this website was going to be done quite a while ago. But we have a whole new opt-in. Now, should you have an opt-in, I'm going to say, oh, yeah, yes, you have to have an opt-in. An opt-in is for people to opt in with their name and email. It's also known as a lead magnet. All right, and so this is where you're going to tap into your skill set, your toolbox. What's your expertise? What could anyone who is visiting your website like to have, like for free? What can you offer to free? What can you create a campaign and shoot out? And I've done a whole podcast on how to create step-by-step an opt-in. But what could you do to be a lure? That literally think like you're fishing. I used to live in Montana and we used to do river fishing. We'd throw out our line, okay, and then we would just start gently. I know you can visually see me because I am reeling in it with my hands. Okay, so you gently, but you can start luring people in, dock them, to bring them to your website and grab what you're offering. What would that be? Now, you should have an opt-in for fiction. Nonfiction is certainly easier because you've got this expertise going in. One of the things when we did an evaluation analysis on my website is one of the most searched blogs I wrote is how to get your LCCN. Now, the Library of Congress number. And that, in my opinion, every book should have an LCCN. And especially if you want to get it into libraries. So, what's your search? What's your search here? How do you go about doing this? And that it just found, and it's changed. That the process has changed. It was much more complicated. It still has complications to it. So I created a PDF step-by-step. I did visuals. I've got things circled. I've got arrows and color drawn to them. This is where you click here, fill in, do not click here, that kind of thing. So we will be starting very shortly an aggressive online campaign letting people know this is where you get your information. And how searchable was that? I would get phone calls from people out of the country saying, I'm trying to get my LCCN. Can you help me? And trying to walk them through this process. So I put it together in a step-by-step PDF format that all they have to do is share their email. Why do you want an opt-in? The most valuable thing that you can have is a catch, a mid-catch for emails. Because this is where you start building your fans. This is start followers. This is where your connections come from. This is where you let people know what's going on, announcements, maybe a program doing, maybe a webinar you're after, fill in the blank on this kind of thing. So that's what we're going after. And we have all that. So it's part of the power of the opt-in. Now, when we do this, and one of the things I had my assistant do is, okay, tell me what's our email count right now. So I know, because when we start rolling out our campaign to let people know, hey, this is here, go get it, it's yours, it's free, that we'll see our email subscription rate go up. And that's why you want it. This is how you do your building on that. Now, not only do we do that, but a few days later, they're going to get another really important, how to be a podcast guest, how to get on a podcast show. And that goes. And then a couple of days later, how to create the perfect pitch. And then another 3 more days later, another. They're going to get multiple things from me with no ask. It's just a gift, And that way you start building rapport. So at the top on my website development column was an opt-in. Next step was videos. All right, so I created a video for every section on my website. So when you click on the book tab, you get a fresh video. We're talking about maybe 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds with me just saying, hey, here's what's going on here. This is what you're going to find here, etc. So we have all of those coming along. And that's for every page as we have it. And I know already, because I've done all new book covers. That whole section on my website that we just did will be changed with just a little bit with the language. So the title matches the new title and the new book cover drops in. And it's going to have to be linked over. We have to do the internal link if you buy directly from me, on the website, or you buy it off of Amazon, that it will go over there and put that together. So that's, that it's work. We have more work doing. And I will probably do a new video. I suspect that when I have all the books with their covers, I'll be, maybe holding them like a fan in front of me so they see them very quickly. All right. So just a thought. So we have videos, and you want some videos on your website. Okay. So what about social proof? I wanted to add more in. I've had a lot of comments in that, and we need to update. So that was an update thing to do. What about other products you have? What about your services? What about resources? I recommend people all the time. Is it current? Do we want to have any pop-ups? Were there any must-haves? The blog, I have an extensive blog. My events are called experiences. Was I clear in my purpose? And I will tell you, I do a Friday coaching call with people, and that every Friday morning at 7 a.m. Mountain Time, and it's a very collaborative. And we were just talking, and I was chatting along, and I said, well, when I'm working with clients, it's truly collaborative. I may be doing really gutting and massive rewrites, but it's collaborative, and I'm really a collaborative book coach. And it was like, whoa. I immediately wrote a short paragraph that before the morning was over was up on my website. So I'm a collaborative book coach. All right. And you want to make sure your contact and is it current? Is all the links working? Do I have all the information on my various social media? Are those current? And then we have, just checking the analytics. And I had notes, things I wanted to move. So that was just one of my columns. Website. I had other things dealing with branding. A column was about content. Okay, how was I going to develop content? And where was I going to do it? Whether it's blogs, where it's video, I want to make sure that I had a call to action on things. I had repurpose on content, and I'm doing that now. That I was going to really expand and develop the YouTube channel. That I was going to get I do a lot of courses, but it's kind of scattered. So we're going to bring them all together. I had it down that I wanted to explore the Kindle Vella, where you can start a series. You can start revealing, chapter by chapter by chapter. Super for fiction people. So I wanted to come back and really focus on my personal tag for my website was, creating and delivering practical, profitable publishing advice and guidance. And then I wanted to really expand more into the online. So those are things. But then I had another column all about marketing. What was I going to do? All right, then what about growth? Okay, all these lines. And these are all, even though I'm in a narrative form as you listen, I am going through, and they're just one word, which is the trigger. And the purpose of doing this is just trigger. And then I had another column for just monetizing. Okay, so that's how I get paid, is consulting. So how can I expand that? What kind of levels? What's free? What's fee? All right, those are for me. That's the book shepherd. But what about you? So what about you as the author? Where do you need to go? Should you have branding? I'm going to tell you, yes, you do. Should you have a website? Absolutely. What about content to add to that website and that you get out there? Absolutely. Marketing? That's you. So what are you going to do to grow? Maybe it's write another book, which I would encourage you to do. What's next? But how can you take what you currently have and do repurposing out of it and grow it? And then how do you make money? Now, the typical self-published author, and I want you to think of yourself as an independent. I am independently honored to be published by an independent press that gets what I do and who my market is. But how are you going to get paid? So that could be from speaking. It could be from selling books. It's going to get out in front. Maybe you have bundles. Maybe you can be offering things. There's a variety of things that you can do. But what are you going to do? That's what this is all about. As you bring that together. And that's what's going to make you super duper successful as you go forward in your journey, in your walk as an author. This is Judith Briles. I'll be right back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Are you confused about publishing options? Do you know which printing option is best for your book? Does your stomach flip when you think about selling books? Or do you feel overwhelmed with what to do about book marketing and publicity? Get the answers and much more. Get them and from someone who knows publishing inside and out from both the traditional and independent sides, how to make a successful book. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand and platform, and is a success, a bestseller. It is your choice. You choose. If you want author and publishing success, you want Judith Briles as your book coach. Sign up for her weekly blogs and e-zine at thebookshepherd.com. The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and guide to collaborate with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You do not need more problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and chaos. At times, she has had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher, by a publishing service provider, and sometimes even by the author. If you want author and book success, connect with her today at thebookshepherd.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so I went through my process that I go through. Now, I actually duplicated. I have it printed out. I've added little notes to it as I've gone along, but it allows me to, simmer as I rethink what I'm doing. And the purpose is really, and this is an important purpose, is to keep me focused. And I love to use the word myopic because I think it is so easy to get pulled in different directions. I mean, how many of you, just one, you who I'm talking to, have you ever made a commitment to something you wish, what did I say yes to that for? We all have. And I think that it's important to understand what really is your priority in this thing called authoring. Are you just diddling? Are you dabbling? Or do you really want to give it a shot? Do you really want to be successful in where you're going? When I started publishing, that first book that came in to my vision was in the year 1979. That's a long time ago. And it's because someone took my ideas and published them. And the epiphany was, if you don't start taking your own ideas, other people will take them and use them. So it was just it was based on a course that I taught on women and money back in the old days. And I reached out to an editor. Well, I thought he was an editor. He really was a editor publisher of a newspaper, and he knew nothing about books. But he did refer me to a novelist who knew something about writing, and that's where I needed to start. And it was always intended to be only one book. And I've said this a zillion times. No one told me that books breed more books, and they do. They're like rabbits. And that ideas started flowing, they started coming. And if you have a successful book, and if you're especially with a publisher, a traditional publisher, they want another one. And mine did. And so that's how it started. And then the evolution, gets going. And then I finally got smart and started learning about what publishing was in the business, instead of thinking, well, someone will always take care of me, and that's just not going to be the case. And publishers come and go, but boy, have they. So when I took control of everything in 2000, I started getting truly smart and understanding this process of publishing, the pros and cons, creating my own publishing company and running with it as I went back and forth. And so with that, that prioritizing has to come into place, because you can get pulled into so many different directions. And not a week goes by that someone comes to me and I say to them, you have done the RTP. You rushed to publish. You weren't ready. You didn't learn the basics of it. You didn't understand the process. You didn't really study what would be comparable in the cover genres that you need to be competing with. There are just so many things that you need to know before you pull the plug on yourself and either quit, or you just go ahead and let it release and hope that the the reader gods will find you somehow. Okay, my game plan is not to have to worry about the reader gods because, I know where they're playing. We need to know who the right reader is. So it's the who. It's always about the who. So the other process that I like to do, and I used to do that on international stages as a speaker, and it always tied in with my book that I wrote called The Confidence Factor a long time ago, and coming around with that. And that with that, it was always tied in to it's a prioritizing type thing. So I would ask my audiences, and I'm going to ask each of you I want you to write down, if you've got some quick slips of paper, that would be very fun to have. I want 4 of them, or mentally think of 4. And I just want a word or 2 words. And what are the 4, my question is, what are the 4 most important things in your life right now? What are your 4 goals right now? 1 or 2 words is trigger. So mentally see that, mentally do that. So what is it? And we all have different things. It could be finish the book, write another book, sell my book. It also could be find some time for me, spend more time with my family. What? Okay, what is it? 4. I want 4 things. All right, now, as you look at these 4 things, you visualize these 4 things. Of the 4, which one is the least important? Mentally cross a line through it. And you may think, oh no, I can't do that. They're all really important. I get that. I totally get it. But cross a line through it. And if I was physically with you and I saw that you were stuck in this process, I would literally go over to you and cross something off your sheet. I just would do that. All right, so we're down to 3. Of the 3, which is the least important? Draw a line through it. All right, we're down to 2. 2 really important things. 2 essentially important things. What are they? What are they? All right, now it's your turn again. Draw a line through it. One of them. Now, whatever you have left, my question for you this, do you spend the amount of time that you want to, that you need to, each day to support what remains on your piece of paper? That very important nugget, that very important goal. Do you do that each day? If I had a group together, and this is the truthiness time, and asked you to tell me how many of you do that, if I had 100 people, I would be lucky to have 2. That's what's happened over the years when I do this exercise. And the reality is we get waylaid, we get pulled away. And so many times, and by the way, this is especially for women that I've experienced, that you put yourself at the bottom of your list. And I don't want you to do that. Because your book, your thoughts, your words, your opinions, your vision, your purpose are so essential for others to know about, for others to hear. Your words do matter. Oh boy, do they matter. The input, the thrust, everything. So where are you on that? Do you put the time and energy in to support your essential elements? Or do you let someone else throw a line out and start luring you in to their side, to their cause, to their function, to their, fill in the blank? It's so easy to let that happen. And by the way, I've been lured many times. So my personal keeper, as we work through here and we come to a close for this session is just to kind of let you think about a couple of things here. And I've got several, but these are the things that I always leave my clients with when we go through this process. And in my recent writing coaching that I do every week, that this is what I set them with. And it's from my book, Snappy, Sassy, Salty, Wise Words for Authors and Writers. And it's this: don't do well what you have no business doing. Don't do well what you have no business doing. That's where the lure comes in. Like, I'm really great at planning stuff. I can throw an event. I can have people over for 20 people for dinner. When are they coming? In an hour? Okay, I can put it together. I can handle it. But should I be? Was that on my top 4 to have 20 for dinner tonight? No. Don't do well what you have no business doing. And the other one is, if you never say no, your yeses become worthless. Yikes. If you never say no, your yeses become worthless. We do have to decline things, so that when we do the affirmative, when we do step up to the plate, people know that your commitment is behind your yes. Because we've all had others flake out on us. We've probably flaked out on ourselves. But if you never say no, your yeses are worthless. So as you go forward for this year, and this year for me of that redo, revisit, rewrite, redesign, resize, relive, reimagine, repurpose, that I know that I've got things that repurpose is in my top 4. And all the other re's, the power of as we go forward, because that will make me stronger as a writer. It will make me stronger as a book coach. It will make me stronger in the presentations I do, whether they're in person and they're online. Where is your power? And that's what this has been all about as we move forward this year. So as I close up, I do want to thank you for being with me this past hour. And remember that your authoring and publishing success will always be up to you. You're the ringleader. And remember that your words, your books, your thoughts, they do matter. So let's get them out. Let's get them supported. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles.